Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 2 for 2024 of Art with Michel-Paul. And this episode is going to kind of pick up and maybe backtrack a little from last week in that we're going to talk about Pemaquid. So let's just go ahead and introduce ourselves. I'm Dave Hayes and
Michael-Paul.
the talent. So we want to start off talking about Pemaquid Lighthouse. So that is what it normally looks like. That's a close up from the photo that Michel-Paul's been using here. And recently we had some bad weather, and that is looking from inside that little bell building here. This picture is from the seagull shop, right?
Wow. So the actual building between the lighthouse
Right. So this
is
is the Bell building, right? This
right.
is their bell. And so the lighthouse and all of the main thing doesn't appear to have taken a hit. But this has got this photo, by the way, is by Kyle Sanderson and
Wow.
shows us kind of some damage. And then here you really see everything, right? And so there's the little house that had the bell and all, and then the bell used to be hanging up on the outside wall, and they moved it in. They've obviously moved it inside,
These
and
storms have been crazy.
yeah, serious damage. And there's a close up we have here, and that is from Bristol Parks and Rec, their photograph that they provided to the news. So, um, really bad business, and when it's supposed to look like
Like
that,
that.
right? And the bell, you can kind of see the bell is out there. If I zoom it out a little, it kind of, excuse me for moving things around,
Oh, I can see it.
but
Yes.
yeah, you can see better the bell out there. So yeah, that's not looking as good as it used to, we gotta say. So how is the weather up there now?
Beautiful today. I guess there's another storm coming tomorrow. We were worried about getting some flooding on Wednesday, which didn't happen. There was some high winds. Um, but yeah, so now I guess another storm. It was 50, 53. Yesterday and the day before was nice. It's beautiful today. I guess clouds coming in and another storm tonight. So we'll see.
So speaking of Pemaquid, you've been working on this painting that's based on a photograph, right? And so uh, that's there's your latest version with my photograph behind it.
Correct.
But the original version last week, that's what we saw, right?
Yes.
So that's your not even a week ago, right? Less than a week
Less
ago.
than a week.
And so let's see where we are now. Here's your new painting, right? So tell me what you've been doing here.
Well, I went over the rocks again, and my main focus was on the actual lighthouse and house, the keeper's house, at the very top, where you can see the roof lines are there finally, and the grass is different, the rocks are a little different. I spent a lot of yesterday working on it. But again, I started this months ago, and I just keep revisiting it. And now that I heard about the storm damage, I decided to get back in there and keep
Get back
painting it.
in there, yeah.
Yeah,
And of course, that little building, the little red part there, that's what's missing nowadays.
that's what's missing.
Um, but just to kind of say now, I'm excited because this is my opportunity to say, I'm always going on and on about how a Michel-Paul painting's a Polaroid, right? And all the painting, all the canvas gets covered. It doesn't, sometimes I think you think of it growing from one spot, but you do like the whole canvas,
I do.
and then it just grows. So that's where we were last week. And then you see this week, last
But
week,
I've gone over the whole sky's been
this
redone, the
week,
rocks, and
not for nothing, we can go back and see there's the original painting, the original photo,
yeah,
right?
that's nice.
So we went from that to that, and now, bam, here we are.
Getting closer.
And if I pull out a little bit here, we can really get at these rocks, right? And so the colors in the rocks, right? What are you doing there?
Well, I'm using a lot of, burnt siennas and some reds and some whites. And I mean, I use blue, Dave. I use a little bit of turquoise, some greens. And it's so easy to look at the picture and just think black and white or gray and white, gray and black. But I just love, see all those oranges and stuff. I can't wait to put that on there once it develops a little bit more, as you
Yeah.
say, like a Polaroid. But I use oranges and yellows, and I just mix the colors together. And once I get a color that I like, and it may necessarily not even be in the actual photo, but I just love it for whatever reason. Like at the very top of the rocks, at the very top, you can see some blue in there that I added, and to the right as well. It's a radiant blue that I use. Um,
And where is that?
well, if you look right above where the volcanic part is, before the grass,
Yeah.
you'll see like little rocks at the bottom of the grass, and right below that, there's some blue in there. If you were to look at it, it's hard to
In
see it on
there?
this photo.
Where is it in relation to the Bell building, the red building?
Down, just straight down, like
All right.
underneath those little, where the large formation of rocks starts. So on the very tip, there's some blue there, and you can barely see it. And you can see it to the right of the red house as well. There's some
Yeah.
grayish blues that are in there.
Yeah, I'm seeing the blues there.
Yeah, and that's just me yesterday while I was trying to finish things up. For my yesterday's session was to add a little pop of color in there just to get me excited. And a couple of it is the orange as well. I can't
And
wait
I'm
to
just
put that
trying to
in.
see if you're making this entirely up here.
Yeah.
Um, I could see little blues there, but you're accenting it. You're giving it a little bit of
Yeah.
a feel. And let me bring this back down. Sorry, it's bouncing around. Everyone's probably getting seasick from it, but there we go.
Yeah.
But I it works. You know, you've got to. Well, it's your painting, right? It's not a
Right.
photograph.
Again,
It's a painting.
I'm not trying to copy it. I'm not trying to make it like the photo. I am, making sure that the lighthouse, and the buildings are the colors they're supposed to be, and near the size that they should be, and the rocks, the major formation of the rock. Then everything else on the sides, I just kind of like leave it off to the edges. It's more of a
Yeah.
blur. You want the focus to be right in the center, right where the lighthouse and the rock formation is. So once I start adding some more light, some more shadowing, some more highlights, it'll hopefully look even better. I mean, I don't know. I just
Well,
don't
I
even.
mean, again, that's where you were.
People love that
You
too.
know,
See how soft that was?
where you started, how it's going, but it's going well, I think. When you talk about what's there, what isn't there, and that's not the way my camera took that photo, right?
Right.
First of all, your camera isn't innocent, right? Your camera is making choices about how much exposure and digital cameras. There's temperatures. There's a whole bunch of settings on these things. When I got this, I was like, okay, let's I had to work on the exposure. I had to
Right.
say, do I want to bring the shadows up? Do I want to bring the highlights down? Can I see some bricks in that
Yeah.
lighthouse? Can I see that there are bricks? It's not just this white blob. And then I jack the saturation.
Sure.
Just jack the color saturation,
Sure.
and it brings out details. Those rocks might not have looked that pretty to my naked eye, which was getting pounded by sunlight. You're
Hmm.
outside, and you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
but it's all there, right? But you're picking, and so there's a good amount of post production. Back in the day, we did stuff in the dark room to make things look good. Now you're doing it on the computer.
Right.
Um,
And
but
so many things that you can enhance, and I'm trying to do that, but with paint. and in my mind, a little bit like what it would be like to be there.
You mentioned something about how this started. Like, you know, what's underneath all of this?
Okay, when I first started it, I sold the Portland headlight last year. It was in the window. I did it and it sold. And I haven't done one since. And I said I wanted to do a large Portland head, which a lot of people knows in Cape Elizabeth, and the most photographed lighthouse, so they say, in the world. So, anyways, that's what I started, Dave. But I didn't like it. There was a big splash. You might have seen it. There was a big water splash coming up on the right side of there from the rocks. And because the rocks were, I mean, the water was
Yeah.
hitting the rocks and the lighthouse. And I just didn't like the way it was progressing. And then I saw your photo and I'm like, you know what? I've never done Pemquid. So I just went over it and just changed everything. I mean, there was a
And
lot
so,
more ocean before. The lighthouse was in a different
yeah.
position. So there is a picture of the Portland head underneath there. And if you were to look at my painting close up, there's a lot of texture to it because of that. I do a lot of layering.
Yeah.
And so you can definitely tell it's not a photo. You'll be able to see the paint strokes. And like I've mentioned before, if one of my gray hair falls off and lands on the painting and I don't notice it and it dries, I see it, I leave it. So you get a little bit of everything, so it's a one of a kind, Dave. It may not be perfect, and
It,
there's absolutely nothing wrong with people drawing or sketching out. I've just never done it that way. I've always just like forced myself to paint what I see. But if I wanted it to look just like the photo, I could take some rulers and lines
well,
and I may
yeah.
do that
I
someday.
I I don't know, man. I'm just saying.
Well, my houses
Uh,
tend to be, I mean, okay, look at that one, for example. The very top of it, the building to the left of the actual lighthouse itself is
yeah.
bigger than what's in the photo, and you can try to fix it. And I try, it's a little wider, I
Is it?
think, or the roof is a little longer, but those are all things that I
Yeah.
think
Well,
make it special. Or
you moved the tree over a little bit, which I wish I could have done. In taking this photograph, right? And we kind of talked about it last time how, I'm like crouching down, bending down. And
sure,
if I move a little to the right, that tree moves out of the way of the keeper's house.
sure,
But then the bell tower, which is the thing we just saw, the bell building, moves in front of the the lighthouse itself. And oh, by the way, it ain't doing anything good for where my reflection is.
of
And
course.
so you can move things. You could have made a little room between. And did you? That's my question, is the relationship of now the bell tower. Actually, you removed the little tower behind the bell tower.
It was there, and then yeah, it's probably gonna go back
I don't
in.
know, man. It's. Do you? I mean,
It doesn't need to be there,
it
but
doesn't need to be there, and it's confusing.
it's
What is
confusing,
that?
but it's part of the building, right? It's there. You know what's so
It's
strange to
not
me?
a photograph.
I know.
See, I
But
heard
look,
that somewhere.
I thought that all of that was all connected. Your
Um.
your photo that you have here.
Oh no, yeah, that's a totally
Well, I
set.
thought
But
it was like, the keeper's house, and then they add on, and then the little house, and then the lighthouse, and the red one I thought was like right next to it.
right, but yeah,
Until you showed me the pictures earlier,
yeah.
I didn't realize it was that far away. You know what I mean? So it goes to show what a photo can do. And if you're an artist and you're painting plein air, you're going to get it from different angles. People are
Yeah.
going to be in different places, and it'll come out
So the
totally
question
different.
is, are
Bell,
you gonna put the little trees back
yep,
in?
probably.
Probably, I think that, but no, I concur. If we could just get rid of that tower there, it would make it. Again, this is stuff you could do that I can't do.
Right.
When I'm taking a photo, and I'm jealous a little, but
I've got lots of content now that you have that I can paint
yeah,
from the river and of Hollowell and Augusta and even down into Gardner, and I can't wait to do that. And
yeah,
maybe we can get more photos I have some good ones of your house on the lake too that I wouldn't mind painting.
oh yeah.
And yeah,
Well, and that's going to lead us to our sort of art news. We don't really have good art news to end things on, other than I'm going to be coming up there uh,
Yeah.
on Monday,
Yep.
and I'm going to be my main purpose in going to Maine. Sorry, no pun intended. I'm going to be in search of Martha Ballard, the
Right.
midwife, and I've got a lot of that, and I'm actually going to stop on my way up in Oxford, Massachusetts, where she's from. I'm going to try to do scenes that were featured in the novel The Frozen River. And as I keep saying, it's the frozen river. It's not the pleasantly sunny and warm river. So I've got to get up there. Um, but also, we're going to be able to get together and see up close what you're working on with
Yep.
that. And I think maybe we should try to do some how-to videos.
That'd be
Uh,
fun.
yeah, and I'm thinking we start with, so get to, start you thinking, right? At the building blocks, right?
Sure,
So
sure.
th- I'm thinking a video about the choice between oil and acrylic,
Yep.
right? That's something that's gonna, and then if you're gonna do oils, have a thing of, okay, what do you need?
Mhm.
Paints, what brushes,
Yep.
that kind of foundational thing. So we can start building up some of that, but and then we'll see what else is there, and of course we'll go to the main house and have drinks.
I went last night. I told Leah you're coming. She's all excited. We had a beautiful dinner there last night, and they were so busy. So I'm so happy that the businesses that survived the initial flood that
Yeah.
from the Christmas week, they're back and running. I know that Juice just went up, and Barano's is back. The Quarry, unfortunately, and Traverse and then Vignettes are still. It's going to be months before they come back. But
Well, and certainly I'll peek in there and
yeah,
see what they've got.
take a
But
walk around. I'll show you. Yeah,
yeah. But okay, so uh we didn't have a lot of art news, but we're gonna make some news here,
we're
I
going to
think.
make some.
And it's interesting to see that painting develop. And so for art with Michel-Paul, day, day from away, signing in North Carolina. About tomorrow, I start the trek north. So I'll sign out there and
We'll see you
take us out,
Monday.
Michelle.
Thank you.